Well, I recently received a comment from a viewer named Hale Woden asking me to tell stories of my recent month-long trip to Costa Rica, where I studied Spanish. Well, Hale, thank you for thinking that I am a good storyteller. I appreciate that. Although, as I spent most of my time during the last month in a classroom or talking with Costa Rican people in an attempt to improve my weak Spanish, I do have stories from nearly 17 years of traveling to Costa Rica. Costa Rica is the home of my heart, and I wish I could live there. I can't for a variety of reasons, but if I could, I would retire there. It is a beautiful place. If you don't know Costa Rica, let me tell you a little bit about it. But before I do, I have to warn you this is not your typical trip advisor or Travelocity travel review. I do not have lovely pictures of sunsets, monkeys, and beautiful women to show you. I don't have any really good videos or sound recordings. I'm blind. You know, what can I tell you? All I can tell you are my experiences, and there is going to be some negativity here. I'm going to be critical, particularly of tourists. Tourists suck. They are entitled. They speak too loudly. They tend to be abusive or dismissive to local people. They generate an awful lot of garbage. Because Costa Rica pretends to recycle, but they don't really. They send all the plastic and all the shit out to sea, just like everybody else does, hoping it doesn't wash back up on their own shore. Yes, recycling is mandatory, but it just goes into the same garbage heap as all the rest. So, Americans in particular, because we've got money, British, German, Russian, Canadian tourists are ruining Costa Rica. But we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Costa Rica is a country the size of the state of West Virginia in the United States. Not very big. It's bordered on the north by Nicaragua, on the south by Panama, on the west by the Pacific Ocean, and on the east by the Caribbean Sea. It has 9 different discrete biomes, zones that are biologically and climatologically different than the zone right next to it. In Costa Rica, you can find desert, you can find dry forest and savanna, you can find dry jungle, you can find rainforest, you can find cloud forest. Costa Rica boasts 120 mountains, 10 of which are volcanoes. And of those 10, 3 are currently active. Rincon de la Vieja in the western part of the country, Turrialba towards the east central, and very close to the capital of San Jose, Poas. Irasu is also somewhat active, but if you look down into the caldera, the crater, you're just going to see a lot of bubbling green slime and smell sulfur and see some smoke coming out of it. But it's not what we would think of as, Kamanawanalea volcano. Or, no, I guess it's called Kilauea. Kamanawanalea. Listen to me. You think I was suffering from the Hawaiian disease Lakanuki. Anyway, it is a beautiful place. It is truly a beautiful place. There are fruits there that we never see in the United States because they're difficult to export. Guanabana, anona, mamonchino, jocote. These are fruits that you probably will never taste here in the United States. Yes, you'll get your bananas and your pineapples and your coconut, of course, and your mangoes, which grow in people's backyards. Your papaya, which also grow in people's backyards, lemons, limes. But some of the fruits you just have to be there to eat them. They don't travel. There is wildlife like you wouldn't believe. Species of tropical birds. They say that, and I'm going to get the number wrong, but there are something like 17 different species of hummingbirds in the world. 14 of them live in Costa Rica. It's amazing. Crocodiles and caiman and some pretty deadly snakes and scorpions and spiders and things that will kill you. But there is also tourism. Now I'm gonna bitch. I need a pinch before I bitch. What follows is a rant against foreign tourists, particularly Americans. If you don't want to hear it, go find porn to watch. Spank it. But for about the next minute and a half, I am going to complain bitterly about how American tourists in particular behave. First of all, you dumb motherfucker, it's not your country. You have no rights. You have no legal rights. You have no civil rights. You are there as a guest. This is not America with palm trees, monkeys, and coconuts. Do not expect it to be. And please stop treating the locals like shit. You are not entitled. You might be spoiled. You might be bad, but you're not entitled to squat. You're too goddamn loud! Stop screaming. Learn some fucking Spanish. Stop ruining the ecosystem. 80% of Costa Rica's income now comes from tourism. Out of that, 1/8 of that income comes directly from legal prostitution. Therefore, Costa Rica is also a sex tourism destination, with the average price of an hour of sex running about $100 in the better places. Therefore, it's a magnet for a lot of scummy men, and I know many of them. There's also a lot of crime in Costa Rica that comes in there from foreign places. Chinese mafia, Japanese mafia, Russian mafia, the various cartels and maras from South and Central America, American criminals. Yeah. Most of the tourism in Costa Rica obviously will come from the United States and Canada. It's very close, but there's also European tourists from places as far away as Russia. Very little Asian tourism, but there is some. When Asians come to Costa Rica, they come there to make money, it appears. A lot of Chinese investment in recent years from the People's Republic of China. This is a good and a bad thing, as is all foreign investment. But American tourists, they're a breed apart. You evil motherfuckers. I hate the way we behave. I hate it. You and your spoiled suburban wife and your spoiled suburban children, you'd rather be a friend to your child than a parent. So the kids run wild, and that's perfectly okay with you because you're not in your backyard. Let me tell you a tragic story. I'm pretty much done with ranting. But just because you're in a $200,000 a year corporate job doesn't mean you aren't white trash. And in fact, you are white trash with your puffed up, entitled, self-important attitude that you inflict on everybody around you. Fuck you. No, I seriously, I hope you eat bad food and get terminal diarrhea. I hope you shit yourself on the way to the airport. Not in the plane, please. I have to share the same air. You are evil by the way you behave. They have rum and cokes in aluminum cans. Great. You're trashing the environment. You're abusive to the people. You speak too loudly. You're wrong. So let's get to the tragic story. Costa Rica's very first national park is a place called Manuel Antonio. It is absolutely beautiful. Beach number 3 looks like the set of Gilligan's Island. It's gorgeous. White sand beaches, palm trees, fantastic vistas, clear, crystal, and beautiful water. Just north of the park, up the Pacific coast, is a town called Capos. In between Capos and the national park is a zone that is so overdeveloped with hotels, mostly American-owned, nearly all of them foreign-owned, and so expensive that Costa Ricans can't even visit their own beaches. Nice. Attracts a lot of tourists. There are signs about every 20 yards on the beach, but they're huge. You can't miss them. And they say in 12 different languages, warning, do not feed the monkeys. Now, there's very good reasons to not feed the monkeys. First of all, Costa Rica has 3 species of monkeys. They have the squirrel monkey, called the monotiti. Closer to the Caribbean side, they have the black-faced mono congo, the howler monkeys, that make one hell of a racket. But they also have the clever and cute cara blancas, white-faced monkeys. We would call them capuchin monkeys or cinnamon ringtails. That is the monkey you saw in that horrible 1980s horror movie, Monkey Shines. That's the cinnamon ringtail. They are clever. They steal things from tourists, including purses and camcorders, phones. They're very fascinated by phones. They don't leave your phone sitting out on the beach. Don't turn your back, because they'll come and they'll start playing with your phone. They think it's cool. But the reason that you don't want to interact with monkeys are twofold. First of all, they are wild animals. They're unpredictable. They are not Disney characters, kids. They are not little human beings. They are potentially vicious, wild animals. But secondly, because of human-to-ape contact, Costa Rica in the last 5 years has lost 30% of its monkey population. This is from people who think it's a good idea to cut up a bowl of fruit and leave it out for the monkeys to eat. But the thing of it is, you handle that fruit with your human hands. You put your human bacteria into the food. The monkeys' bodies cannot handle the human bacteria. They get sick and they die. So there are signs all over. Do not feed the monkeys. No alimenten los monos. And 10 other languages. And here is the perfect white American family. Daddy with his $200,000 a year corporate job. Mommy with her $200,000 a year corporate job. Pampered and pink, ready to get their suntan with their incredibly spoiled 4-year-old daughter, who immediately starts screaming at her parents, "I want to feed the monkeys! I want to feed the monkeys! I want to feed the goddamn monkeys!" Mommy and Daddy really love their little girl, to the point where they will indulge her in any whim, even though they're right next to the sign and less than 20 feet from where I was on the beach. You should have heard the screams. When the mommy finally gives the little girl half a banana and says, all right, go feed the monkey." The scream as the little girl loses 3 fingers on her hand. What is the reaction of the parents? Who do we sue? We're going to sue somebody. Who do we sue? You ain't suing squat. Who are you going to sue? The monkey? The Costa Rican government? Hell no. You were warned repeatedly. So you better get your little one-handed princess onto a life flight and get her back to the States, where she might be able to get rehabilitation and get fitted with an attractive hook. I want to feed the monkey! American tourists suck. I know a family that went down to Costa Rica. Now remember, I just commented there are fruits down there that you can't even get in the United States. They're delicious. There are local foods that you will not find here. Arepas, chorreadas, things you've never tasted in your life. But Mom and Dad corporate, we're going to Costa Rica with our children. It'll be an educational experience. You know, expose the little kids to a different culture. Show them how superior our culture is over those little brown people down there. And of course, with my diamond status medallion flight, the flight is free. The whole family is going to fly first class, don't you know? It's going to be wonderful. And so they go down there, and the first question they ask is, well, where's the nearest Walmart? We need to buy peanut butter and jelly for our children. You're fucking stupid. That's your cultural exchange? Going to a Walmart in San Jose. Good for you. Tourists fucking suck. You had better learn how to behave in somebody else's house, American tourist. You suck. Check your behavior. Check your fucking behavior. You have no privilege. You have no priority. You do not have the right to be abusive or dismissive to the local people. You ought to learn a little bit of the language and the customs. Because their customs are different than ours in America, Mom and Daddy corporate. And don't get me started about the African American gang banging men in their 20s that come down there wearing gang cultures and are physically violent and abusive to the women in Costa Rica. Don't get me started about that. Don't get me started about the Russian tourists that pick fights with everybody. Don't get me started about the cold, calculated, and hyper-efficient Uber Germans that come down there. It ain't just Americans. The only nice tourists I've ever met down there are Canadians, and they're largely confused. You can't blame them. They're from Canada. American tourists will continue to suck as long as we've got money. Fact. I was standing in a hotel lobby, and there were a group of American men, probably down in Costa Rica for sex tourism. I don't remember if I commented on this take of the video, but 80% of Costa Ricans' income comes from tourism. But out of that 80%, 12% comes directly from legal prostitution. Whether Costa Rica likes it or not, they are a sex tourism destination. So here are four guys obviously down to have a little deep sea fishing and buy a little pussy. Again, pardon my language. I warned you, this isn't a Travelocity or TripAdvisor video. So I'm standing in the lobby of a hotel called El Presidente. It's a nice hotel, very modern, very clean, right downtown San Jose. And one American goes up to the desk clerk and says, "Where can I get a bottle of Bacardi?" Well, the answer is right down the street. They sell liquor in grocery stores that are, by the way, owned by Walmart. And I said, "Yeah, you can get Bacardi right down the street, less than a block away. In fact, I'm walking down there now. If you guys want to walk with me, but while you're down here, you ought to try some of the local rums. Zacapa from Guatemala, for instance, Flor de Caña from Nicaragua. They're really delicious, and they're not something you're going to find in every liquor store in the U.S." The answer I got was, "Why don't you shut the fuck up and mind your own business, asshole?" Wow, really? I'm trying to be friendly. I'm trying to be helpful. I speak the language, you do not. Let me help you. I'm just being a friendly fellow tourist. Now you're telling me to shut the fuck up and mind my own fucking business. Thank you, entitled gringo. And yes, from the haircuts, the Eddie Bauer clothing, these guys are wealthy. These are corporate American guys, Fortune 500 workers. And again, fuck you. Now let me tell you some good stories. The Costa Rican people, if you are not an asshole tourist, can be the most warm and welcoming people you will ever meet. Now, a lot of them have a motive. It's called Amistad por interés. They realize if they can make American contacts, there might be something in it for them that's financial, something that benefits them financially. They really don't want to be your friend for the most part, but sometimes they do. And the story I'm going to tell you is stories about visiting Costa Rican families. What it is like to sit on the front porch of a Costa Rican home with the father and mother of the family and their sons, and have the man say, "Do you like mango?" "Yes, I love mango." Walking 20 feet from his porch with a machete, cutting a mango off the tree, bringing it to me, slicing it in half, and saying, "Oh, it's a little green. You want some salt?" It is sitting for hours with a local medicine man, a local shaman, who every day brings a plant to me and puts it in my hand, and in a smiling, conspiratorial voice says, marijuana. And I would say, no, Mr. Venegas, it's not marijuana. What is it? And he would tell me about the medicinal plant and how it is used and how to prepare it. This is the same man who looked at my eyes and said, you have 2 kidney stones in your left kidney that have not yet descended, and 3 in your right, just from looking at the irises in my eyes. Well, 3 years later, I go and consult a urologist, and after several $1,000s worth of, whatever they call them, magnetic resonance imaging and x-rays and whatever, he says, well, Paul, you have 2 stones in your left kidney that have not descended and 3 in your right. The same diagnosis that I got from a medicine man near Dominical, Costa Rica. But the medicine man didn't need $5,000 worth of MRI and x-rays. Imagine that. I saw a baby get raised from the dead by the same medicine man. Ricardo Venegas, I hope you are still well and alive. 65 years old, I watched him shinny up a palm tree with his machete in his teeth to cut me 2 pipas, or green coconuts, to prepare the liquid of the coconut for a kidney cleanse. It worked. There are cures for cancer still in Costa Rica that the big pharma has not yet managed to eradicate. Cures for cancer. Costa Rican people welcoming and warm their house on a rainy day, eating a Caribbean dessert called Chachemi, made of cracked hominy, white corn, in a sauce with clove and cinnamon and sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar, molasses. It is playing with the 4-year-old child of a Costa Rican lady who brings me Barbie shoes and says they're strawberries, and me pretending to eat the delicious strawberries. It is walks through city parks that are alive with parrots and parakeets. Parrots and parakeets in a city park. The parrots imitate car alarms. It is the magic of encountering people who are truly psychic and truly magical. It is going to the National Museum in San Jose and seeing the gigantic sphere that isn't really stone, isn't really volcanic glass, and isn't really metal. But even the non-psychic put their hand within 3 inches of the ball and can feel the electricity against their palm. It is honey that tastes like tropical flowers. It is the roar and hiss and crackle of a tropical rainstorm. It is a beach that is deserted and wild and beautiful at high tide. If you get a chance to go to Costa Rica and can go there without being an asshole, please do. Try to consume less water from plastic bottles and less beer and soda from aluminum cans if you can, because, like many other places in the world, recycling is just a public lie that is supposed to make us feel better about being consumers. Costa Rica, with all this nature, does not recycle. Ecotourism is in and of itself an oxymoron. One cancels the other. The minute tourists, well-meaning tourists, want to see nature and the ecology, they negatively affect that nature and that ecology. Again, while Costa Rica depends on 80% of its national income on tourism, tourists suck. And I'm tired of them. I'm tired of 55-year-old guys acting like drunken frat boys while they're out looking for prostitutes. I am sick of the overly entitled foreign families with their bratty children running amok and making a mess of everything. I am tired of American criminals and corporations, which are often the same thing, that are raping Costa Rica. I saw Americans running around the beaches in Century 21 real estate blazers, and I thought, oh fuck, there we go. If you can leave it as you found it, or better than you found it, please do visit Costa Rica. You will not regret it. It is beautiful. It is magical. The people can be great. You should be great too. From the dank basement. Hope that was the kind of story you were looking for, Hale Woden. This is going to take 3 years to upload, but thank you for your patience watching it. I am Paul Schallbetter. Soy Paul Schallbetter, turista en Costa Rica. Muchísimas gracias por mirar.